So here I am in my fiddle yard, squeezed between the trains that are parked here. I just thought I'd come on and apologise if you saw my first part of this. Apologise for a little faux pas I did in editing. I left a bit on the second track and didn't realise it was there and it was incorporated into the finished video, so I do apologise for that. It was a bit of a shock seeing me sitting in the garden. But these things do happen. I do apologise. Anyway, I hope you've seen the first part of this. If you haven't, it might be worth looking at that first. And this is the second part, just finishing off, putting your load on the top of the skeleton card that you made, and a little bit of a running session at the end. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Goodbye. There we are. Yep, that's fine. So, what do we do next? Well, put simply, you cling film it. So, take your wagon, like so, and push that down. Take your load and push it right to the bottom. And then do your cling film all round the wagon, because A, it will protect it from the glue, and secondly and obviously the idea of this is you can glue it and whatever and let it go off, and then hopefully you can pull it out with a cling film, and then you've got a nice solid load. So the next bit to do is to get your load ready, depending on what you want. So I'm doing limestone in these because I think they're limestone wagons, but equally you could do the coke, or you could even do the proper coal, or you know, the coal from Hattons. I mean, these are 30p, so you don't get an awful lot. Might be better for tenders in locomotive if you want to do that sort of thing. And the next bit is, I think it's a good idea to coat this with some glue, and I'm going to use PVA, but it's decorator's PVA, which is a bit thinner than your normal joinery grade. It's quite thick. This is quite thin, but I am going to thin it down for the final part. So I'm going to pour some in here, and then I will give it a little squiddle, and then I'm going to put that back on. I think if you use the joinery grade PVA, then it's probably worth doing it half, you know, half and half to thin it out. With this I'm not going to. I'm going to go and so I'm back. Obviously some kitchen roll or something similar, or even a rag if you prefer, just to thing. And I think the easiest way is just to do it fairly neatly out of here, and then brush it on with your brush like so. I don't think it needs to be particularly thick. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pour your load as neatly as you can into it, hopefully without spilling too much. Probably level it down with your finger a little bit, take it right to the ends obviously, and you can decide how high you want it in the thing. Push it in, and some obviously will go down inside, which you can retrieve once it's gone dry. A little bit more there maybe, and a little bit more here. There we are. Give it a bit of a shake. and then it's a case of getting a little eyedropper and sucking some of that up nicely, and then just let that go soak through. Exactly the same as ballasting almost, isn't it? To be honest. The cling film will obviously stop the glue going into your wagon and damaging the inside. And because the glue is nice and thin, it should run right through and hopefully coat all of your bits. That one's not very good. You need a little bit more. I suspect that is going down a hole. So here we are. Hopefully that will dry nicely, and we will see. And all you can do now is leave it to go off, probably for 24 hours as it's thin. So I'm now going to do the rest of my ones while I'm set up, and we'll wait and see what it comes out like after 24. So I've done the hopper wagons, and as you can see I've started on these little square wagons, and I just thought I'd show you what I'm doing. I'll do it on one of these big ones, do exactly the same as we've done for those. Obviously you don't need the slope, you can just put the piece in there, cut it again, do the squares, do the little cutouts like so. In these it's probably worth making that slot a bit looser because they have to go at a very acute angle to get in. Again, cut your top piece again out of the pizza or something fairly good, although this doesn't really matter because it's going to be flat. But I've decided on these to just do it flat, and then I can pile up the stuff and then drop the glue in as you want. So you can do these in situ. So put a little piece of card in at the bottom with the shiny side up, so like that, and then take your card, and if you do the top piece and put the glue on there and the glue on there and then a little bit in there, right, then slide that in. Then once you've got it to that, you just put your glue along the top as you would expect, as neatly as possible without trying to get too many runs down the edge of it, down the side, like so, and then pop it into your wagon, hopefully without getting glue in the corners if you can possibly help it, though I have. And just wipe that off. Remember to put your card the shiny side up, pop that in there, and then I've got the weights from the things which I could still use, but they are mighty heavy, so I'm just using that as weight. And then I've got another weight there. Use anything that's got a bit of weight behind it. You could use what I had in the other wagons, stones. If you've got any, and just pile it in just to keep it pushed together, and then put that to one side. Be careful it doesn't run off the table. And if I just show you one of these, this has been done. Now I need the little knife to get them out at this stage because there's no weight to them. But as you can see, it's very simple, very easy. You know, it doesn't take an awful lot of skill. Again, you cut them in and just pop it in, and it's there. So my next operation is exactly the same with these, to put whatever you want to put in. I'm going to put coal in these, and I think I'm going to be rather different with these big ones. I think I'm going to put a mixture of the coke and the ballast and see what it looks like. because I'm not really going after reality. I'm just going up to have a little loan and just see what it's like. If it looks not very good, then I shall come back on
change my
for
mind.
our wagons here. As you can see, I've got that well wrapped up in cling film, and I've got my load on. I've obviously glued the bottom of the card. The thing I found was doing the coke as opposed to the ballast is, with the ballast, when you dropped your dropper with your glue on it, it would just nicely go in. With the coke, that doesn't happen. It seems to want to just lay in clumps and not go. So I have seen on YouTube before that you spray it with water, very lightly, just to give it to give it a little bit of lubrication. I wouldn't do it here because otherwise you're going to waste all the bits that are on the board. So it's easier to take it outside over a sink or whatever and just give it a light spray. Don't soak it, just to know whether the camera will pick this up, but you can see there's a slight sheen to the coke. And then obviously just do your dropper as normal. Now you do need quite a bit. As you can see, it still blobs a bit, but you do need to put, well, I would think you need to put plenty on. Don't worry about putting plenty on, because as you can see, after you put it on, it is very white, isn't it? But that's the one I did at the beginning of the thing, and as you can see, it's not dry yet, but the white glue is disappearing into the bottom, and there probably will be a hole at the bottom in the actual cling film. But you can see it's going right through, and obviously when the glue dries it's clear, so it will look reasonably well. Not as well probably as having it all loose in here, but would you really want to run this round your layout loose? You only need to have a little whoopsie on the layout, and you've got little bits of black everywhere, as you can see on this board. So to me this is a reasonable way of doing it. If you see any bits that look a little bit too black, it's probably worth just putting another little drop on it. It might be that it's actually soaked through already, but I don't think it actually will hurt. So there you are, as you can see, they are changing. And another thing you might be a good idea to do is to not leave it on your table, so that if you knock it, you've got this, because it's still loose, it'll go everywhere. Anyway, I'll see you later on. Goodbye. So we're now 24 hours after you last saw me dripping glue onto my loads. I've got a very pleasant cup of tea, and we've moved to my conservatory, where it's also a very pleasant 20.9 degrees, because it's fairly bright outside. Not sunny, but bright. So the next stage is, and I will give you a little warning here, didn't follow my own advice, and this one, when I took it apart, when I took it out the wagon with the, I don't know if you can see that, but the top bit split away from the bottom bit. So if you remember, we put a coat of glue on the face of the top piece of cardboard, and then we piled this up on top. So this one, as I took it apart, it started splitting in the middle. So can't panic really, you've just got to think what's the best thing, take it all off and redo it, or see if you can salvage. So I've tried to salvage it, as you can see, probably see the joint. First of all I just tried to put weights on to see if it would adhere. It hadn't appeared to this morning. So I poured some glue in the crack on both sides, and at the moment I've got it just sitting there on some cling film, leaning up against the edge of my trolley there. that I made when I was at school. So all the others, which I will show you in a moment, I've taken out. And what I've done is I've left two as we saw them last time. So as you can see, it's fairly hard. You will get bits come off of them. There's always going to be a little bit that didn't get it. As with ballasting, I would assume. Not that I've done ballasting, I don't. The advantage of doing it like this is with the cling film, the trucks won't roll away as you're trying to put the glue in. So get it up gently like that, up above, and then just gently ease it out. It's not difficult. Just gently ease it out, like so. Put your freight wagon to one side. And then what you must do is literally unwrap it very gently. Try not to let it fall or bang it or whatever. And just take your cling film off, as you can see I'm doing. And if you notice, there's an awful lot of glue still there, and there's a line of glue along the line, because obviously that glue's got to go somewhere. It just doesn't disappear. So what you want to do is just leave it like that for quite a few hours, probably half a day or something like that if you want to, so that the glue, everything can glue. And leave it on the cling film, because then when it's gone off it won't be stuck. If you put it to cardboard, you might stick it to the cardboard. Right? And then obviously you've got, I've already done the smaller coal wagons, and this is the last of the big ones, and this is the one where I did a mix. So before I take it out, I will put it towards the camera a bit more. So this is where I did a mix, and I was thinking what sort of load would be like this. I sort of wondered about the stuff that comes out of coal-fired power stations. I mean, is there clinker left in, you know, where they burn it? Do they need to get rid of it? I don't know. Might have to have a look online and see. But I thought, you know, you would get some black and you'd get some burn. So anyway, that's what I've done. After all, it's my railway, I can do what I want, within reason, can't I? As can't we all? So, put your wagon to one side, and then very gently take it apart, and as you can see, some is coming off, which you must expect. You can't expect it to be completely, every little bit to be coated. On this one, just fold that together so that you keep all the bits, and then you just want to sit that on there on the tea trolley, like so, and just leave it to go off. And as you can see, I've got some glue on my board there, which isn't on, is it? But that will wipe off. So I'm going to I'll show you the tea trolley with all the stuff just drying off now. Here's the top of my 50-year-old tea trolley that I made, and you can see that I've got all those loads just drying. I have already managed to do one and fit it in, so just literally leave it, let it go all nice and hard, don't play with it like I did, and you should be fine. I don't know if you can see that, but where I've just picked that up, I don't know, yes, can you see the cross of glue? So if you look at the end, and if it'll focus, you can see sort of the line of glue, so definitely leave it on the bottom aim. Okay, so that's all for the minute. In a sec you'll see what we do to get them back into the wagons, and just to finally finish off. So here we are for the final part of this tutorial. Don't know whether you're still with me, hope you are. So as you can see, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. We've got all the trucks here that I've done. So we've got the 3 Yeomans, the 4 coal coke trucks and the hoppers, as you see, all with their load sort of just slightly in, and I'll take you through the last final bits. And at the end there are our loads from Hattons, and as you can see there's still quite a bit left in both jars, which if you filled the whole thing up and glued it in solid, you know, you'd probably use more than a jar. So it's quite an economical way of doing it. So let's carry on with the just the final part now. Right, so as you can see I've got a little bit of glass paper here. It wants to be a reasonable grit, not really coarse, but equally not really fine. And what we need to do, if you can look at this, there are little bits on the side, and this is the one that actually was had the crack in it, if you remember, I showed you. It seems to have glued and it seems to be solid, but as you can see there's little bits here all along, and they do actually stop it going in. So the idea is just to rub it gently on your glass paper, like so, and as you can see it wears it down. They're obviously not as hard as you think they are, and that is basically all you do. You just rub them like this. There we are, we're coming. And obviously just have a look at the bottom of the cardboard, and if it's a little bit, there's a few bits on there, it doesn't matter having these bits, I don't think, or I suppose that one might stop it going. And literally just go round and see what's what and keep trying it in, and once it drops in we're away. So that end's going in, this end isn't, as you can see, so we just need a bit more. I think it's actually the middle here that's stopping it. Still a little bit up this end, I think. It's best to do it on a flat board if you can, because it obviously then keeps that edge fairly straight. So yes, nearly there. Just this bit here I think is causing a problem. So if it's just one bit, you can do it on the corner of the paper. You just actually do that bit there and that bit there. So, and hopefully it will go in. Nearly, no, a little bit more. Well, to me that looks as though it's in. Yes, that is loose, so there's something else stopping it, and I suspect it's this build up here where we had the problem. So, through that away, it's still actually quite a little bit plastic, as you can see. And then maybe just a little bit like this, and we'll give it another go. Doesn't always go according to plan, as you can see. Nearly there, a little bit on that corner perhaps. There you are. This one, as I say, was the worst one because it's split. But that looks okay, you know, it might have just been dropped in at the last time. Obviously you can leave the dust because there probably will be dust. There are gaps, absolutely. But, you know, does it matter? Not really. When they're going around the layout, they'll look as though they've got a load. And the point is, get hold of it like that, you've got an empty wagon. Which is the whole point of doing them like this. I've seen a video from Lakeside Model Railways in that he has a load in his Freightliners. He didn't sort of emphasise whether he'd bought them from a shop or, you know, whatever, and he only showed one. So if you buy them from a shop, which I'm sure you can do, are they all the same? You know, do they all look exactly the same? As you can see with these, they're all different. they all look as though they've been loaded individually, which is what they would be. So, you know, you can make your choice. You can go the easy way, go to the shop and buy some already made that fit in perfectly, look absolutely great. Or you can use your skill, and let's face it, it doesn't take an awful lot of skill to do these, to have an individual load. So there's the first one. Obviously the same with these. You can see how thin this layer is. It really is thin. And as you notice on these, there's no cross piece. You don't really need it because you're going into a square thing, and as long as you line it up with your piece of card that you cut in previously reasonably snugly. And again, just give them a little rub, and maybe the end. There we are, and we'll see if that goes in, shall we? I think that's a little bit tight. I don't want it too tight. You can obviously try them like so, and then you've got something to get hold of to get them out. Have a look. A little bit at the end here, I think, probably stopping it. It's been a little bit tight somewhere. I'm not quite sure where at the moment. I think more the middle. There we are. That's nice and straight. Right, if you want, you can cut these slightly at a bevel to help it drop in. At the moment they are dead square, and they are that is a little bit tight compared to what that one is. So I think I will go and get a pair of scissors and we'll just trim that off and see if it's any better. So magically a pair of scissors appears, and just cut them very lightly, just a little bit, like so. That one actually looks out of square the wrong way, so that might have been the one that was making it a little bit tight. And we'll give it another go. And that went flying, didn't it? And there we are. There's a little load. Looks reasonable, I think. So we're getting there. And obviously these are the same. So again, I didn't put any braces. I've just done cross and glued the top on. And there we are. Some of it, you can see there's bits missing here. If it worries you, you can always put a little bit of dab of glue on and then pop some stuff on and then let it go hard again. The important thing is to let them go hard. As you saw, I had a problem with that one because I was too impatient. Just give them time to dry off, especially when you dilute the PVA. It does take longer to dry. So I'm going to get all these in, and then basically it's a nice running session with our field load. So what's happening here now? Here comes the 66. Oh, he's going straight on. Where's he going? Oh, onto the branch line. What's going to happen there, I wonder? So I can hear a bit of noise going on in the goods yard. Oh, what's that sound? I think something's about to emerge. So, it's been emptied. That was quick work. Looking good. Bob on his travels to go and pick up another load. And then I'll repeat the system all the way over again. Really good. Here comes the Black 5, still on its slow journey to its destination. I suppose it will get there in the end, won't it? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial come running session, and if you've enjoyed it, please comment, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down.